I'm a little down today. I bowled terrible. Thank God it was just a practice. I took up bowling because it doesn't take up as much time as my golf game back in the day. And you know what? It's very strategic. It's a very, what should I say? Engineered based. You really need to know your angles and your math and so on to calculate. Then you have to hit your target. It's not easy. But that's not why I'm going to talk today. I'm going to talk in between games. I got a call, which I expected was a strategic buyer for a label printing company. Smaller player, not the big players that I usually deal with, but I wanted to give them a fair warning that M&A, mergers and acquisitions, is not an easy thing. I usually facilitate for the buyer because the buyer is very sophisticated. They know exactly what they want. They're strategic. It's a long-term investment. They invest in all the right things. However, they're very strategic in their acquisitions, their targets, and so on. That's where I feel my value is. I know the industry. I'm an industry expert. I don't know all the players, but I will tell you this. I know the big players. When I say the players, it's not only the buyers, it's the sellers. I more or less understand and foresee the seller when a great time is to sell. So when I answered this call, that's one thing I want to mention. I will take your call and I will talk to you about what you want to do. This buyer happened to express to me they're interested in the label industry. He named off his competition, but they're not in the printing industry. They were looking at EBITDAs that are about half of what the top players are. So that's a discussion that I had was, what are you, crazy? You're crazy to buy? This year, now with all the tariffs going on and the supply chain issues and the talent that's out there, I'll tell you, it's not easy. So by the time I got off the phone, he says, "Oh, Rock, thanks for the heads up, the warning signs." I did say, listen, if you come up with a target that you really want to investigate, I could save you a lot of time and effort. Okay? I don't get involved unless I know it's going to be a win-win. I'm talking about the seller and the buyer. But here's the problem with today's market. There are approximately 10 times more buyers than sellers. The sellers really are not in position to sell. They don't realize that, I'm talking about the printing industry, and specifically labels and packaging. Those are the hot markets, not the commercial market, sheet fed. It's been consolidation going on for the last 20 years. And now it's kind of like you missed the boat. You missed your window. Now with Trump and the administration and everything that's going on, you have to be very, very strategic. You have to be ahead of the game. Founders and entrepreneurs and small family business. When I say small family business, I'm talking about less than 25 million. To me, those are small. It's too risky for a buyer to tuck that in unless it's a liquidation, it's local, and so on. It's my reputation. I'm going to help you grow. And that's both on the buy side and the sell side. The seller, I'm going to tell them, listen, you are not in position to sell. You're declining in sales. You don't have any talent. You might have some customers. Your margins are deteriorating. You're in a market segment that's not growing. People don't realize this, but they hold on till it's too late. Listen, in 50 years, I've seen death. I've seen addiction. I've seen divorce. I've seen talent leaving. I've seen bankruptcy. I'm talking about sellers. I'm talking about sellers. They hold on way too long. And the family businesses, it's usually dysfunctional. Very few succeed. These are all something you could look up in AI and Harvard Business Review and so on. Believe me, that's the reason why I only work on one deal a year, because it takes 3 months to 9 months to close a deal. And that's a successful deal. But I've worked on deals for 5 years that failed because I picked the wrong horse. I picked the wrong seller. And the buyer picked the wrong seller. It's embarrassing. So I learned that and I decided, you know what? Never again. Never again. I work on the 3 T's, and that's, do I trust this seller? Do I trust the buyer? Are they transparent on the buy side and the sell side? And are they willing to work under this timeline, which is 3 months to 9 months? It usually takes me at least 2 years minimum to get a referral that, Rock, this company wants to sell. Most people spend at least 5 years to 40 years working with me to say, Rock, it's time. I still don't trust that without a contract. My checklist is serious business. After 50 years, I've decided to document it. You're going to start seeing this posted, okay? And I'm going to start talking about it on YouTube and TikTok and so on. Because my focus right now is strictly digital assets. No more talking, no more bullshitting. You got to have a contract. You got to get somebody serious. Everyone's calling me, Rock, who do you know? Rock, who do you know? I know a lot of people. Doesn't mean I'm going to refer you to them. I have to trust you if you're a buyer or seller. And I got all A players. But you know what? B players may come around and become A players. We don't know. It's like the major leagues versus the minor leagues. If the major league buyer says, Rock, I'm not interested, and I see somebody that might be interested, I will help them get to the finish line. And I've seen way too many deals fall apart. Oh, and that's the other thing. I talk to people, and I usually ask them how old they are. Why? Because I start to understand who's got money and who doesn't have money. It takes money to buy a deal. People don't realize the easy part is buying a company. The difficulty and the challenge in the long-term commitment is to have a company grow. And the only reason why you buy a company is the potential. So you got 10 times the buyers that are out there. Everyone's looking for a deal. And I get 1 to 3 requests a week. Rock, who do you know? What do you do? And, you know, they connected with me on LinkedIn or whatever. And some of them have even changed their employer over the last 10 years. I see a lot of turnover in mergers and acquisitions, especially guys that are looking for deals. I see that quite a bit. So, what do I see? I see discipline, patience. You really got to get people. I talk about the sell side. The sell side, it's got to really look at their strategies. They got to have a strategic plan for not 2 years, not 3 years, 1 year. We're already past Q1. What's going on? What's going on with your milestones? Are you meeting your goals? Have you lost top talent? Have you lost customers? Have you have a problem with tariffs now? Your suppliers are outside the United States. Is that going to be a problem? Believe me, suppliers are going to pick and choose who they've been working with, who's paying their bills, and the opportunity. It's like COVID. Remember when they were picking the essential clients? And then government bailed out a lot of these companies that were small, and you know what? Most of them didn't even take care of CapEx or buy equipment or invest in people. They didn't do that. And now we got a problem. At my age, there's no way I'm going to invest in hard assets. No way. I'm looking at Asia for supply chain, for talent, for equipment, okay, technology. People underestimate what's really going on. And I'm talking about the United States. Are these jobs really going to come back? Do you think private equity in the last 10 years is the answer for the future? A lot of these people that cut deals are so happy they're out. I've also realized many organizations that I know that sold and left their roll-up or roll-in to the sale to private equity are in dire straits right now because they may never get that money back. Okay, for example, they sold for cash 70-80%, and they left the second bite of the apple in the business betting that, and they were convinced that, hey, it's going to grow, I'm going to make that happen, and in 5 to 7 years I'll get an additional 5x. It doesn't happen all the time. Okay? So you got to be really careful who your buyer is, who your seller is. You don't know if that buyer is strong or not because they're not going to share that information with you. And you might have just got screwed. So you have to really learn where the big money's going and what's happening. You could see they're negotiating with the Trump administration. Who's the first one to come to the table? Japan. Who's the second to negotiate not only tariffs, is multiple European companies. Vietnam's already at the table before the tariffs were announced. They've asked for an extension. Trump has his family business has invested a tremendous amount of money into Hanoi and Vietnam. They are very close to their president. I believe his name is Lam, L-A-M. And Elon Musk has Starlink. He has multiple satellites there. Tremendous. I mean, we're talking billions, everybody. This is all before the tariffs. So Vietnam's going to be really top, because they're already negotiating. And it's not the tariffs. They've already talked about no tariffs either way. What they're really concerned about are the commissions from China that go through. The loophole was Vietnam. Vietnam had a value-added tax. That's really going to be negotiated. With Trump and Musk already invested in that, believe me, it's going to be favorable. It's going to be favorable. So, as you know, I've been working with Trump, with Vietnam. I'm really interested in their talent, their digital assets. They're known for software, technology. All the big boys are working with Vietnam. We're talking China, United States, South Korea, Taiwan. And what do they have? They have people. They have the tools. They have people to run the tools. They have capacity. They have territory, their geography. They have access to the South China Sea. I mean, we could go on. And they prove it with their education and their STEM, their international education process, which they are in the top 3. And STEM, I believe it's science, technology, engineering, and math. Top of the line. Literacy, over 95%. Compare that to the United States. I'm going to invest where the future is. It's going to be years before jobs come back and there's going to be change. In fact, people are fighting about Doge, or people are fighting about helping the United States. It's going to be a problem, man. It's getting to be a problem. That's what I see in mergers and acquisitions. Yes, I'm in the printing, label, and packaging, and especially converting industries, which is manufacturing. Back in the day when I was working with 3M, we called them joint ventures or strategic alliances. That's all Trump's doing. He's a businessman. He's a businessman. And he's going to cut a fair deal. And that's what you should be doing. Not to buy a workhorse. You want to buy a thoroughbred and pay for it because you reduced your risk. But the buyers today, I'll tell you this, there's a lot of unemployed white-collar people that believe that they've got the skill set. I can't agree with that because there's very few people that I know that are on YouTube, that are on TikTok, that are on Instagram, that are on LinkedIn. I'd say almost zero baby boomers. That tells me they're not the smartest one in the room. I'm the oldest one in the room, I'll guarantee you that. But I'm on top of it. I'm listening to these young kids and where they're going. And I'm listening and watching what United States is doing with Asia. Because Asia is the future, not the United States. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the United States. All the equipment, majority of it, high percentage is being assembled or manufactured overseas, definitely designed. And this is all coming in from the technology. VIN Group, and they set up an operation to compete with Tesla. It's a different approach. But I looked it up. 60-70% of his products are manufactured and designed in Vietnam, and they assemble them here in the United States. That was like a couple of years ago. What's going to happen to EV? We don't know. But I'm telling you, while we're complaining about Doge, while we're complaining about the federal government and the close down and the right sizing and everything else, everyone else in the world is 3, 5, 10 years ahead of us. So what do? I'm a grandfather. I push my kids into education. You should too. Then you won't have these problems. Worrying about your kids and why they don't have a job. Or why you're going to lose your job. Okay? Trump doesn't have to do what he's doing. And like he says, someone's got to do it. Musk doesn't have to do what he's doing. Where are the rest of the people worrying about it and want to get paid? What about the Democrats? What are they worried about? Their own personal wealth. That's what they're worried about. So I'm giving you a heads up. The founders and the entrepreneurs on the sell side are thinking the same way. Number one, themselves. Number two, they think about their families. And number three, they revert back to themselves. But it's not like selling a purchase order of a roll of material, of labels. That's not the way it is. So that's my presentation today is I'm getting calls from M&A, merger and acquisition buyers, not sellers, because I'm too straight up with them. They're not ready. And that's the reason why I'm putting a checklist together, and it's going to take 2 years. And people underestimate the cost of opportunity for 2 years, people that they could attract or not attract, the talent that they're losing over the next 2 years. Yep. And the competition, they're all lowering their prices. They're all lowering their prices. And private equity, it's not going to get their multiple of 10 or 5 or whatever it's going to be. It's going to be rough. But you know what? It's called greed. Timing is really critical to say it's time. It's like athletes when they want that extra 5 years and all of a sudden they got head concussions. Some of these guys just don't know when to let go. You know? And that's where I give my dad a lot of credit. He knew exactly his timing because he was from the greatest generation. 65, he retired. Today, he's going on 100. He's retired almost longer than his career. That's right. And it's just like when I went to visit Japan, what I really noticed was health is wealth. That's what I'm blessed with right now. I got my health. But I see these 32-year-olds, these 50-year-olds, these 80-year-olds holding on. Eventually, it all comes to an end. You know? So I'm there for the underdog. I'm thinking like I was 30. What would rock do? And I'm going with the people that got the grit, got the knowledge, the experience, the awareness, the hard work, ethic, family values, treat the people right. That's what it takes, man. That's my my version for today. Okay? We'll talk to you soon. This is Rock. As my friends call me, Rocco. Bottom line is, know your value. And save for a rainy day. It's another one my father would say. And my parents. And that's the reason why that we're in position to talk like this. Because we've already achieved it. And we live amongst our means. And whatever luck we got, we banked it for the future. Took care of our families, took care of our kids, took care of our employees. All the right things. So at the end of the day, if you're independent and free, it's huge. So my thought to you would be, always bring joy. So I'll talk to you soon.